cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I got a little cat on my lap yet again. Here at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth, where supposedly it's going to snow.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Can you believe it's going to snow? Though I don't think so. I lived in California so long that it seems like the possibility's low. But it's so in the news. And that guy, that bro, he said to me, because we're brothers, he said, "Hey Mike, it's going to snow tonight, so get your parka on.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Get your snowshoes, get your..." Whoops. Sorry, drop things. Here at Cafe Anyway, somewhere
Mike's
in Podcaster Valley,
Daily
the last place on earth,
Podcast.
where every pen is a toy for this cat, Rocky the cat. I'm not going to have a podcast picture of him, though, today. I don't think. I think we'll... No, I think it'll be with my lovely lady friend. We haven't done a podcast picture with her in a while, so gonna do that. And I have not done a podcast in a while because it was her birthday over the weekend. And we went to SF MoMA, San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. Oh, that was so wonderful. I could spend all day there. Well, probably not. At some point, any museum, no matter how fantastic it is, puts you to sleep. You're walking around, you're looking at things, and everybody's just so quiet. It's so quiet. Unless they pipe music in for some exhibit, something to... It's part of the exhibit. But no, it is so quiet. It puts you to sleep. I wanna be awake and see all this art and be inspired. But the thing is, we're always late, my lovely lady friend and I, and we ended up there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it closed at 5, so it was rush, and they got so many floors. But it's such a great... I'll have some podcast pictures from that as well. But believe it or not, that is not the podcast picture today.
And here's today's podcast picture.
No, it is of my lovely lady friend and I at the beach, which we also did over my lovely lady friend's birthday weekend. We went to Half Moon Bay, and it's open. 92 gets you all the way to the beach now. Whoops. Oh, so sorry about that. Things are falling apart here at Cafe Anyway with the winds knocking trees over. A tree just fell right through Cafe Anyway. I shouldn't joke about that. That's actually happening around my neighborhood here in Cafe Podcaster Valley anyway. So, however, the beach was very lovely, and I took the late great Basil the Boxer there many a time to this particular beach, Poplar Beach, and we saw a lot of dogs running around, and it makes us joyous and happy. I've taken Basil there. I've taken the ashes of Basil there. Did not distribute them, though, there. But we went there, and yes, it's a very beautiful spot. But we took Rocky, the cat, there. Again, this is the second time, and had a great time at the beach. Although he's kind of looking around like, what's all this going on? It's a bit much. So he pretty much shuts down and just clings on to us. But we have had crazy winds here in the Bay Area, and it's supposed to snow tonight in the Bay Area, which that just does not happen. What is going on? Today is Ash Wednesday. Well, maybe today is some completely other day. Probably you're listening to this Thursday, or maybe years in the future. If that is true, hello, future you. I hope you are doing well. TV shows that got canceled way too early, according to fans on Reddit. What could they possibly be? Let's see. There was a show called Pushing Daisies that I particularly enjoyed. But you got to be in the mood for it. Bright colors, there's singing, there's Kristen Chenoweth, Lee Pace. It's just a lot of stuff going on. At one time, George Hamilton shows up, but he has no lines. He just shows up for a second, and then he disappears again. Better Off Ted. Okay. Oh, somebody mentioned Pushing Daisies. Wow. And somebody commented, Brian Fuller has had too many great shows canceled far too quickly. He also did Dead Like Me, along with Pushing Daisies. And Hannibal. Huh. Hannibal gets mentioned. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. What? Yes, that was a TV show that was made out of a book by Douglas Adams. It has been made into a television series twice. The first time, I think they only did about 4 episodes, and it was odd, really weird. Like there's time travel involved. Then it was redone later with the guy from Tobey Maguire. Was he in it? No, the other guy with the big eyes from the Hobbit movies and all that stuff. My name is Earl. Oh, one of the biggest cliffhangers in cinema history, wrote someone. Yeah, although parts of My Name is Earl got reused later in the TV show called Raising Hope. And I forget the guy who does that, who did both of those shows, who produced them, created them. I know he was a Scientologist. You'd like to have fellow Scientologisties on. But that was not, I guess, something anybody remembers. Very interesting. Then Florida's climate exodus has already begun, and it's going to get worse, from the Insider. That's fascinating, because I know someone in Florida who lived near my late mom. Mentioned in the past couple podcasts that she passed away a year ago. The great neighbors across the street from her, who helped us out tremendously when we were there trying to wrap up all of Mom's affairs up in order. Their daughter recently moved from Florida, moved away. As we go outside a cafe anyway, speaking about going away, we're going away from cafe anyway. Well, just to the outside area where it's starting to snow. Oh no, wait, not yet, but it could at any second. It's cold.
Anyway,
I'm in my burqa. Let's see here. The Great Displacement is what this is being called. Oh, it's a book, actually, by Jake Biddle. He writes about Florida's famed Key Islands, seeing longtime residents leave due to intense climate events. The Florida Keys are an incredible tourist destination which has throngs of visitors coming to see what paradise looks like. However, recent intense climate events like Hurricane Irma make life difficult to be sustained in the Keys, making the decision to leave acceptance of the inevitable. The storms have wiped out homes in the area, have had residents resorting to encampments for the unhoused in the forests and sleeping on friends' couches. We were having this discussion today at work about the term unhoused. It is supposed to be the new, I don't know if it's a woke term. If you say it, you won't be canceled. So I guess that's maybe it makes it a woke term. We used to say it's a PC, a politically correct term. But the term unhoused refers to what we used to call the homeless. Now, I don't know what is more offensive, because homeless, what's the offensive part of that word? Is it the word less? Is it somebody is less than what they are? Is it the fact that they do not have a home? I thought people that were unhoused, sounds like they're unwashed. The unwashed, the unclean. Putting an un there makes them less than a person. The uncola. The unhuman. Now they're unhoused. And if you are housed, is that someone, that sounds to me like someone who's in the house too much. They've become homebound. They're latchkey kids. They never leave. They're afraid of leaving. Whereas the quote unquote unhoused are outside and cold and have no house. We should just say the people that have no house. Why do we have to? Maybe we can abbreviate that like we do so many things. into some kind of acronym. People without a house, the PW, the PWOs, PWOHs, PWOAH. I'm onto something, aren't I? Yes. Just say it. Just call me and tell me if I am on track or if I'm being myopic. That was the name of the last podcast. 510-228-4640, 518-228, 510-228-4640. What else is going on in this incredible world? Shall I get to one more thing? I feel like I should, because just so much has happened and I have not done a podcast in like 4 days or something. I apologize. Oh, hey, because you don't ever listen to my podcast, or apparently you do because you're listening, but you should really tell your friends. Tell your friends about this podcast so more people listen. I, Mike Matthews, have been podcasting since 2009, which is not really true. I've podcasted even before then. But back then we weren't calling it podcasting. We were calling it recording a show onto a cassette. No, I did that back in the 90s. I was working in radio and I had access to a studio, and the studio had a little cassette recorder and the studio wasn't being used. So I'd bring in some CDs and I would create radio stations that didn't exist. I had one radio station called Tank. Yes, Tank. Thanks for the memories. No, it was Tank 92 FM. Tank like a tank, because it was rock and roll. It was basically a rock and roll mix and different songs that were kind of alternative but weren't. They were all upbeat. There was new stuff, old stuff, all mixed together. My lovely lady friend said I should put that on the podcast sometime, but I'd probably get dinged for playing the music. But to give you an idea of like the playlist, I think there was Missing Persons, Life is So Strange, going into something from Phil Collins. I don't remember what. Oh, there was like a Santana song, Hold On. It was Meatloaf, I think, was on there too. And the only person who ever heard this tape was me. So I would love to share that with you. If you want a copy of it, let me know. Maybe I can find. I have one cassette player, but to actually copy it to another, and then that would assume that you have a cassette player. But if you want to really see, actually, you don't even have to do that, although you're welcome to. But just go to my YouTube account. YouTube.com, I think it's /MikesDailyPodcast is how you get there. There's a link to it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. But if you go to my YouTube page, there is a playlist that says, what's it say? It says the Best Obscure Rock found by Mike Matthews. And basically the stuff on that, the music on that, because there's so much music on YouTube, that mix is what I had on that tape, and would be some of the early podcasts that I did that were music podcasts, and I didn't have to worry about anyone dinging me because there were no FCC stuff. But here's something, not FCC, but CNN. Associated Press says CNN anchor Don Lemon. Who is Don Lemon? What does this guy look like? No, you will. Oh, American television journalist. Okay, I don't recognize him at all. Apparently, he is about 56, and he was born in Baton Rouge, went to Brooklyn College. Oh, one of my coworkers who recently left. He went to Brooklyn College to get his radio. He got his radio degree there and got into radio. Maybe that's why Don Lemon went there. Well, CNN anchor Don Lemon will return to work today. He received formal training in the aftermath of his on-air comments about Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. This according to the Associated Press. Network CEO Chris Licht said in an email to employees on Monday night it didn't specify the training looked at it that it was important to him that the network balances accountability with fostering a culture in which people can own, learn, and grow from their mistakes. Lemon has not been on the air since Thursday, a week ago, when he said the 51-year-old Haley, Nikki Haley, wow, she's younger than me. I mean, not that this surprises me. She's a young looking person, but I'm like, wow, I'm older than someone who might become president. 51-year-old Haley, and that's always a shock. When Mick Jagger realized that Bill Clinton was younger than him, he had all kinds of things to say about Bill. He didn't like Bill Clinton. I don't know if that's changed since then, but which, by the way, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, the surviving members of both bands, are working together. Keith Richards, Paul McCartney, and Ringo Starr are working on a project. That's exciting. I care about that because I'm in my 50s. 51-year-old Haley, this is what Don Lemon said, was not in her prime. It's crazy. During the broadcast of CNN this morning, Lemon and fellow hosts Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins had been discussing Haley's suggestion that politicians over 75 should be subject to mandatory mental competency tests. Lemon issued a statement that same day saying he regretted his inartful and irrelevant comments, which were widely condemned, as you would probably agree. The Daily Mail says furious female staffers at CNN have threatened to quit if Don Lemon stays on air following his sexist comments last week. That's saying that Nikki Haley and women in their 40s are past their prime. Do not even ever utter the word past their prime. You don't know what prime is. I know what a prime number is. I think it can't be divided by itself, right? Or something like that, or divided by 2. I forget. I guess I don't know what a prime number is, but I do know, and I know what Amazon Prime is, I think. And I watch a lot of stuff on Amazon Prime through the Acorn TV app. And I watch a lot of, what's it called? Agatha Raisin. And what's the one with Jane Seymour? Billie Holiday? No, Billy Wilde? Is that it? Harry Wilde. Okay. And other fantastic British type shows. Oh, and Australian shows and New Zealand shows. They're fascinating to me and my lovely lady friend. And I'd like to end on this one story here that household debt has reached its highest level since 2008. Fox News says U.S. household debt jumped to the highest level since the 2008 financial crisis last year as mortgages surged amid high inflation and rising interest rates. This came from Wallet Hub. The findings show that household debt, which increased by $320 billion in the final 3 months of 2022, it hit a high mark, a 15-year high of $17 trillion. On average, a typical household owed a total of $142,680 at the end of the year. Wallet Hub household mortgage debt increased by $290 billion in 2022, and Wallet Hub said the second highest annual increase since the end of the Great Recession. It says, so please think before you spend. Think about if you've got a subscription to Amazon Prime, are you really using it? Do you have a subscription to Netflix? Are you really watching it? I watched that, what's her name? Clunk on the world or on Earth. And that was pretty funny, but was it funny enough to keep Netflix and all their price increases and their price gouging for the next year? I don't think so. So always look at your budget. Budget everything. Look at everything you're spending money on. The best way is to get a receipt for everything. Yes, you're killing trees, but get in the habit of getting a receipt so you see what you're spending all the time. I'm not an expert. I'm not a money expert, but I ain't in debt. So just keep that in mind. What is it you spend? And all that stuff that you're spending in the background that you're not watching every day, that you don't see every day. Get something sent to you, an email, receipts, Have someone that you know remind you, hey, we got that bill coming up. What I recently did is I've got Comcast, Xfinity, and what they did, they suddenly shot the bill up about $5, $6. Okay, maybe not the worst thing in the world, but that's on top. That's an extra $6 times 12. That's an extra $60, at least $60 or so that I'm losing every year. What's the deal? Well, I went online. All you have to do, I found out, is go on the website for Xfinity or Comcast. If you don't have a sign in for that, get that done uber quick, but don't take an Uber to do that because that's also a waste of money. There's plenty of public transportation around, or you've got more friends than you think. Someone can give you a lift, but don't use Lyft either. And then what you do is you go to the change a plan. They made it very easy now on Xfinity's website, xfinity.com. Is that it? That you just click on the tab that says change my plan. And they give you options. And there's these assistants that pop up, these little chat bots, these little chat boxes. And you can say, look, I'm really cheap. I'm cheap donkey. But you can say that another way. I'm a cheap donkey and I need to have my bill reduced. What do I do? What's the cheapest plan for what I want? Say the word cheap a lot. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed of being frugal and a cheapskate. Well, don't, like when you go out with your friends and you don't add to the bill, if you don't, contribute to the bill, or if you don't pick up the check once in a while, don't be that kind of a cheapskate. But, think in terms of money and what you're spending. Don't just think it's someone that's in the background, I'll be fine. Because you can make these wise little choices here and there, and not to get all, what's his name? What are those two big, there's Schlesinger, and then there's the one, I can't think of all those financial people's names, but the ones that are really popular and have big books and everybody knows who they are. I may not be one of those people that give financial advice, but I do know if you go to Xfinity.com somewhere, there's a change your plan. Guess what? I went from something like $93 to $70. I saved $23. And all I did was have to go online. I didn't even have to stay on hold. In fact, Xfinity makes it difficult for you to get a hold of someone, which is bad, which is not good. But at the same time, you don't have to sit on hold forever. They force you to go online. And I was never good at doing that thing where I call up somebody and I get someone on the phone and I go, I'm going to cancel. I'm outraged. This is completely unacceptable. I am not going to pay this much money for these services. I'm going to cancel. And then somebody, oh, no, don't cancel, Mr. Matthews. We'll get a hold of the manager. And I want to speak to the manager. Okay, we'll let you speak to the manager. So they connected me to the manager. This happened in 2017. And I got a hold of the guy and he said, so you're going to cancel? And I said, yep. He goes, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn off your cable. And he called my bluff. And I'm like, wait, let's not be so hasty. I broke. In the game of chicken, I lost. And he ended up getting me a better deal, but nowadays, you don't have to go through all that. You don't even have to talk to people. You just go to the wonderful website and click on the thing. This is what I found out. Now I'm saving $23 instead of spending an extra $5. And I got the same exact plan that I had before. So this is the little thing I'm saying as we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Look who is here.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. That was all really helpful information, Mike Matthews.
Yes, and as a gift shop supervisor, you see a lot of people waste money on ridiculous things, right?
That's right, Mike Matthews. A lot of people spend money on snow globes that are so stupid. Would you like to buy one?
Yeah. I'll have this one. Wait, this is more of just a glass with some kind of confetti in the water. Wow. I wonder what it tastes like. I just slurped on my podcast. Wow. Oh, what was in that confetti?
Kale, Mike Matthews. Delicious kale.
Oh, good. Then that's a good thing. You should not swallow the confetti in your snow globes, by the way. Just a little disclaimer there. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, all these power outages happening in the Bay Area because the wind was really strong and PG&E can't get to everybody's houses with their water and power. Wait, water is EBMUD, East Bay Municipal Underwater Discoverers, not department, not PG&E, which is Pacific Gas and Electric. Just wanted to clarify that. I knew that, Mike. You're such an idiot. I laugh at your ignorance, Mike Matthews. I'm an engineer. Thank you, John Deere, the engineer. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. What do you think about everything we covered? Please call me at 510-228-4640. I have done many podcasts. In fact, I didn't even say what today was. 2,564. episode 2,564. Tell your friends about the podcast, and I have the website you can go to too and see the podcast picture and other stuff related to the podcast. You can help out the podcast and all that stuff. Go to MikesDailyPodcast.com, and with more info and all that, it's A-Frame. Oh, and please, do not call me a creative, even though that's what I am. It's a stupid word.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!